to the flag
flag
of the United States
of
of
America, to the republic
Republic
for
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty
with
and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
And let us take a moment to reflect and that this virus ends and leaves us hale and healthy. Okay. Thank you. Art, you wanna? Art Gelson?
Art probably doesn't have audio. Art doesn't have audio or video.
Oh, no?
Gotta have video or one of them, or else how's he joining us?
Joe?
Yeah. Okay, Art, since you don't have, a former member, let me get my slide. Jack Hennessy passed away on March 18th at the age of 88. And he left to Florida. And in 2012, he was a member of our organization for 9 years. So a number of you may remember him. That was before 2012, before I joined, so I don't know. Art's comments on the next slide was that he was a fun guy, always with lots of stories. He played golf in Art's foursome with Don Mezzapelli and Jerry Babinski. Art's wife also played Art and his wife played weekly couples golf with Jack and his wife Audrey and two other couples for many years at South Pine Creek in Fairfield. So does anybody remember or want to say anything about Jack Hennessy? Okay, let's move on. Next slide. I spoke to John, and he's got a lot of things on his plate, but he's doing well. He's recovering. He's really sounded good, and he was in the throes of doing a couple of errands yesterday, right after I called, so we didn't get a chance to talk that long. But John seems to be doing well, so let's hope that his recovery is complete. Meetings will be held weekly online and Zoom until further, until the regular meetings resume at the Fish Church. A copy of the slides are going to be emailed to the entire membership each week, even before the meeting, so that everybody has a chance to review them, and if they think they might have comments, be able to respond during the meeting and make a lot of, expedite things. Member news and outdoor activities we're going to help keep us up connected during the period. In-person meetings, while in-person meetings are suspended. And again, if you have any questions, comments, or news, please email myself, Carl Funch, or Phil Schechter, and glad to get answers for you for whatever you need. Okay. Next slide. Okay, on March 12th, the SMAS board endorsed the updates to the bylaws to make them consistent with the increase of dues and the shift in life member eligibility approved by the membership last year. All these items were voted on as changes, but never fully entered into the bylaws, or maybe entered, but there was some clarification needed. So with that, at the board meeting, decided to revise the written bylaws. And Carl, do you want to?
Yeah, in Article 3, there were two sections in which were revised to conform with the new increase to $60 dues. So they removed the references to the $50 dues, and there was language in there that's also repeated on the application form as to people join in April or join in September, and how the dues varies throughout the year, partial for current year and payment ahead for the next year. So all that language, which is duplicated on the application form, has been deleted from the bylaws, and just for simplicity. The next thing was that in Article 3, Section 5, remember that we changed the rules so that the year in which members turn 91 is the first year in which their dues are waived. And the language was very convoluted in the Article 3, and there's been some attempt to bring it into, well, it was attempted, but it wasn't very clear. So it was clearing up the wording, making it consistent with what was voted on. But member turns 91 this year, they don't dues are waived from this year onward. Are there any questions or comments on those changes? I think it was pretty well debated before, but some people may not have been in those meetings.
Why does a person have to wait till they're 91 when they turn 90? Shouldn't that be sufficient?
Well, we needed some additional income, so we changed it to get one more year of dues from each of the members.
Well, personally, I think it should, you know, I just feel that it should be at 90.
Okay, well, it was voted on, so it's not up for debate. I was just, if anybody questions.
Oh, okay. I accept that.
It helps keep us more solvent, it really does.
Okay. All right, okay. So the point is, really, we are not changing the bylaws. The bylaws were changed when we voted on each of the items. So, but just to give everybody a chance to look at it again, they've been published, we've been read at this meeting, and we will take a vote at our next meeting just to accept it or not accept it. So that's the plan moving forward.
Gives you a good reason to live an extra year.
Good reason to get older.
Good thinking, Howie. Good thinking. You're always on the ball.
Okay, can I just make a suggestion? When you come on to make a statement, please say, this is, well, I'm looking at this picture, Brian McDermott. This is Brian, and make the statement, because somebody talks and we really don't know who's talking. So if you could just do that, maybe it'll make the flow easier and we know who to address. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we have, I know Ira is here online with us. Ira?
Yes, Ira speaking. I am here this week. Lou, thank you for having done the minutes last week. And you all received those minutes, I trust, because they were sent out via email. And if there are no corrections or additions, let's assume that they're okay. Everybody in favor?
could raise our hands.
Like the unanimous response, but we'll go with that.
So,
Let's do it.
Ira, this is Carl. While you're on the line, do you have, while we're updating all these policies and procedures and everything, do you have a copy of the management manual? I've seen references to it, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
I think I do. I can
You
check
send that
very,
to
very
me,
quickly. Hold on a
and
second.
Joe, and we
Man,
can take a
I
look
have-
at it.
This is Joe. I have one, but it's dated. It hasn't been updated. I don't have the updates.
I do have, Ira is speaking, I do have it. It has, what it contains, other than the, in addition to the bylaws and policies and procedures, it has the duties of each of the officers. That's the other part of it. But let me.
It's Joe, it's Pablo, can you hear me? As past president, I handed over that manual to John Club. President is really responsible for keeping that copy as up to date. I know he could maybe coordinate with Ira. You call him a full copy of that manual, which I to him.
Yeah, the only thing I have in mind is the officer's duties.
Carl, I believe,
And then there was,
To talk to John Club, because it's a big blue letter. It's there, everything's in there. He should be keeping it.
Carl, does anyone have a Word version of it, electronic version?
Carl, this is Steve. I believe it's out of the Dropbox.
Oh, okay, I'll look for it there, thanks.
all right, so there being no objections to the minutes, they're accepted as presented. Moving on. Save the dates. Larry, you're up.
Okay. Can you move the slide up a little, Carl? St. Patrick's Day luncheon is obviously canceled. We have not gotten any further feedback on our requested return of our deposit. Obviously, the facility is closed. I don't think Bonnie, who is the events coordinator, is actually working. The trip to the William Lewis Dreyfus Art Collection has been canceled. Hopefully it can be rescheduled next year if Alan can arrange that. Alan, you have any comment on that? Alan?
I believe Alan has his mic muted.
Anyone hear me? Just checking.
Okay. Whoever spoke up, we heard you.
Bill Monco.
Alan
Okay,
has,
we heard you, Bill.
Okay, good. I'm on. All right. That's good.
Okay. I guess Alan is on mute. So let's move on. South Pacific has been canceled as well because, and I think Alan has arranged to get whatever deposits back. Alan, can you hear us?
He's not muted.
He's not muted, no.
He went to the bathroom.
I don't
Joe's on the
see.
screen.
He's there. He's just not. He's moving his mouth, but it's not coming through.
Oh. Is there any way of unmuting him?
He's unmuted.
He's unmuted.
He's unmuted.
Alan, I see you. Yep. I see you waving your hands, but we're
He's not-
waiting for you to get
He's not muted.
verbal.
He should switch to audio on telephone.
No, I got Alan muted.
That doesn't, let me,
At least he's showing up under Phil Schecter's name. That's Alan, I assume.
No, Phil was making a chat comment to Alan.
Yeah, right.
Lower left, Alan, is a microphone.
He can.
Just checking, Bill Monco here. You can hear me, right?
Yes, Phil.
Hear me now?
Is that you, Alan?
I perhaps so. Larry?
Yeah,
Hi,
hear you
Alan.
now.
Like Alan.
Larry, are you hearing me?
I hear you, Alan.
You are?
Yeah. Can you want to
Larry,
talk about South Pacific?
Yes, let me just briefly then mention that with regard to the cancellation, there is the $500 deposit that is supposed to have been released to us. It hasn't come yet, but I expect that it will. So we should be, there should be no issue with being able to postpone that till next year.
Okay. And while you were on mute, I just mentioned that the trip to the Louis Dreyfus Art Museum was canceled, and hopefully it can be arranged for next year. And
Yeah, that's right. They're closed down, and it should be no problem to rearrange it for another date.
Okay. Carl, next slide, please. Okay, the SMAS Day of Service on May 8th is still scheduled. Joe,
Yeah,
you want to step in?
Certainly. It is still scheduled. I spoke to our Director of Operations, and since, as of the beginning of the week, yes, it's still on schedule. I mean, obviously, it's subject to change, but at this point, it's still a go, and we're going to take, it doesn't show up on thing. The target sign-up date, it's not showing up on my screen, but the target sign-up date is April 24th. So we'll have 2 weeks before that time to sign up. I know Ron,
Call from 20368255528.
somebody answer their phone. But so we'll sign up. We got 2 weeks to sign up beforehand, so we'll know definitely by that time. I did get one member sending me an email saying that he's ready and willing to do it. So we'll continue to keep it on the docket.
Okay, next slide, please. The spring golf outing is still on, and we intend for June 1st, and we intend to have signups on May 1st. Brian or Howie, you have any comments?
Only that we still have, this is ongoing, and we're going to call up the golf Sterling Farms probably the middle of April and confirm we can still pull it up.
This is Howie. If I can comment on this. Yesterday, I received from Sterling Farms a general email, which I'm sure a lot of you got. Right now, they're having 1 cart per person. There's no talk, you can't congregate on the green. If this continues, I'm going to suggest to Brian, and we'll discuss it, that we do not have a golf tournament. I mean, you're going to take all the friendship away from it. I personally would not be playing at this time. I do not want to take a chance that someone may had used that cart and become sick. I mean, so I think everyone's going to have to really think on this, because we don't know what's going to be going on June 1st. It's such a crazy world at the moment. So it's to be decided. It's not something.
And this is Brian. I totally agree with Brian.
That's not.
Okay,
Somebody,
I say coaching again.
this is Larry again.
Feedback. He's talking in an echo chamber.
This is Larry again.
Steve, you might want to mute everybody.
yeah, I think it's give me a second, then I gotta find, hold on, I'm gonna mute everybody. Okay, yeah. I don't know if you can hear me, I'm looking for, Joe. So I can. I don't know what you're doing. That's the problem. Let me see.
Okay, I just unmuted myself.
Okay. Okay. Who do you want to speak next? And let them unmute themselves then.
Okay, it's Larry. And since neither Larry or Joe are on the participant screen, as far as I know, the tennis tournament is still planned for. It's scheduled for Monday, June 8th. Obviously, it's contingent on the social distancing being lifted by then, and target sign-up date is May 14th. Next slide. Okay, again, the spring luncheon is still on at this time. Status to be advised as we move forward. We'll have plenty of time for signups. And again, it's up to the CDC advice on social distancing. So next slide, please.
I have a question on the Rock Rimming Club.
I'm sorry, what about Rock Rimmon?
I had a quick, that's gonna be a different package than the one we had for St. Patty's Day, correct?
Yes, it's going to be a buffet luncheon like we had last year.
Okay.
Okay, Bill McGurr is organizing the fishing trip again with Jim Dunn's assistance and Morty Klein's. And it's expected to be in the second week of July, when hopefully the virus will have been taken away by the heat and maybe even drowned somewhere. But the expectation is $50 a person, etc. There's a lot of good fish waiting to fall into our fry pans after being caught. So this again is subject to everything being resolved in terms of the current situation. Any questions about this? Okay, next slide, please. Okay, the annual picnic, September 17th at Cove Island Park. As I'm sure you're aware, Stu is in charge. He'll be looking for more volunteers. And I think the parking situation he has mentioned in the past has been resolved. There'll be no problems with parking on that particular date. And I believe that is all about holding the dates. So I will turn the mic over to Carl as membership director. You're on, Carl.
Unmute your mic.
Carl, you there?
Doesn't seem to have a microphone.
Can you find me? There we go. I'm now on, looks like I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. There's been no increase in the membership for obvious reasons because of the coronavirus. But I dove into the membership database again, and I was curious about the membership, rather the attendance at our meetings by ages, whether there was any pattern to the behavior, whether the attendance was more common among the younger members and the older members. And what I found was, no, there's no, waiting for the slide to come up on my phone here. There's no discernible pattern. What I thought would be an upward trend in meetings attended as the ages went down, I didn't find that the case at all. Apparently, there's some members that didn't attend any meetings. Some of those are because they're unable to attend meetings for health reasons. Others are because they're outside outside of Stanford. But other than that, there's no pattern. It seems like our membership was very active. That the age is not a barrier to attendance. It's just all over the place.
Hey, Carl.
No problem at all. Yes.
Carl, Stu, this is last year's data?
Just last year.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. That's my observations on membership for the year.
Okay.
Today, right?
Talking about membership and or reviewing or revising the bylaws, maybe look at them somewhat a little more closer. And one of the requirements is that a member attend 10 meetings throughout the year. And it's subject to losing rights to membership, et cetera, et cetera. But it was a discretionary thing. But I would propose, and I don't know if we want to vote on it, or maybe just if anybody has an objection to speak up, is that we waive that requirement for the year 2020.
Good idea.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, this is Steve.
Is there any objections to that?
None.
Hi, this is Jerry speaking. I think if somebody wants to support us with dues, even if they don't attend meetings, I think they should be able to do that. I would not see any problem with that whatsoever.
I don't think it's a question of dues. I think it's just a question of even if they paid their dues and if they did not attend at least 10 meetings, they were, subject to, well, what term you want to use, dismissal or being dropped.
I don't think somebody should be dropped if they want to pay their dues. That's very nice for them.
What
it's nice for us.
Yeah, this was
Marco here. Bill
Again,
Marco here.
it is part of the bylaws, and I don't want to change the bylaws at this stage to that, but it's a discretionary thing. And my suggestion is we just don't worry about attending 10 meetings or not in 2020. And if we want to revisit this next year as a general thing, it's something else. But so unless there's any objections, let's just drop that for this year.
Bill Munko here.
Has ever implemented anything? Has any member been defrauded because they have not paid attention?
Somebody's picking up coming in.
It's Bill Munko asking whether anybody's ever been defrocked.
No, it's Nick Fisher.
I have no idea. Bob Budke would be the person, and I don't know if we enforce it or not, but just as,
So if it's not been enforced before, there's no reason to enforce it now.
Hello, Bill Munko here. Anybody
Go,
hear
Bill.
me?
Go, Bill.
Go ahead.
Okay, I think there's a wash because there's no telling when we're going to get back. We may not get back at all this year. So we should probably just let that float,
Okay.
that
Well,
10 meeting.
Let's consider that now, the fact for this year that we're not going to even enforce that regardless of what happens. Okay, moving on.
Can I speak? Yeah.
Bill, are you there?
As I know, but
I'm here.
audio.
This is Larry. I think Dick Fisher has an echo on his audio. I think he's trying to say something. I recognize his voice, but it's he's got an echo.
Okay, I'll do it up best I can.
This is Alan. Just a suggestion for many of us have muted the sound so we don't get all the interference, but a good chunk of us haven't. For those of you who haven't done it, it's in the lower left-hand corner. Where it says mute, if you just hit that, there'll be a line crossing it that shows that you're muted, and it'll cut out a lot of this interference that we're getting during the call.
Steve can mute everybody in one shot.
Okay, what again? That
I've done that before.
okay? Richard Fisher wrote an email. He gave his basic opinion that if we're doing via, you should go through the proxies. That is a point say Joe or John back, John who received as our proxies. Apparently that's Connecticut state law, and I think it's here to it.
I did not get any of that.
Okay, I'll put mine on.
Okay. All right, go to I guess we'll have to go to the next slide.
Yeah, I
see.
got this message from Bob Budke that he and Marie have decided to postpone their June 20th wedding because of all that's happening. Does anybody have anything to report about friends, colleagues, members?
Wasn't a member, but I knew him. Our first fatality due to coronavirus was, some of you may know as he was a member of the Board of Reps for a year, Tony Spadaccini. Lived up here in the Newfield, Pepper Ridge area, so he was only 54 years old. So the contrary to some of the demographics that they've been talking about, so please, guys, be careful. So we can.
Munko here, is anyone in our organization contacting
Any good news to report? Perhaps it would be helpful if those of you who have had experiences wandering out of the house and going shopping, where it is the safest.
I was go here. I was at grade A yesterday. It seemed okay. Most people wore plastic gloves. Many people had masks on though, but I was there like around 10:30. It wasn't bad at all for shopping. The line went right through pretty quick, and the registers now they put up these plastic like window shields, so the person on the register doesn't have to wear a mask, so you can hear them pretty good.
And that was a
grade A Newfield.
Great.
This is Howie here. We've gone out, tried the senior hours, and you stand in line with a bunch of old people, and it's too much. So you go like 10:30, 11 o'clock, or 2:30, 3 o'clock, and it's quick, and you're in and out. Of course, you're left with the dregs as far as if you need meats and stuff, but that's the good time to go get the actual groceries that you may need.
Yeah. Bill Munko again. I found that to be true at 10:30.
Joe Andriana here. I had to get some prescriptions over at Walgreens, and my daughter volunteered to go, and she was going to need to come and get my credit card and whatnot if she didn't pay for it herself. And but the pharmacist said that Walgreens has instituted free overnight shipping via FedEx for prescription deliveries.
Wow.
So if anybody has prescriptions to renew and pick up at Walgreens on High Ridge Road, you call them, you charge it, and if it's done early enough in the afternoon, they will deliver it the next day via FedEx free.
Bill Munko here. CVS on Hope Street has the same setup, but I think they deliver it right from the store. However, I set it up for the last 2 days. I'm apparently set up, but they seem to be lagging in being able to make the connection between me and the store. They do have something set up where you can order a prescription and they will deliver. That's the Hope Street CVS. I haven't been able to do it yet, though.
As far as Walgreens, it's only for prescriptions. If you need over-the-counter stuff, that's not part of the deal.
Bill Munko again. CVS puts ads on and everything, so I guess you can get items other than prescriptions. But again, I haven't been able to close the link yet. But they do advertise specials and stuff on their link, which you can order like you do for Amazon. But again, I haven't been able to do it yet.
Okay. All right, moving on. Book club.
Wait, can I have another opportunity? I wanted to share something that occurred to me that we all would know about. Remember Dr. Jonas Salk and Dr. Albert Sabin?
Yes.
They conquered polio in the 50s. I still remember the fear and panic then. I was at a summer camp as frightened parents withdrew my bunk mates even during the night. And later, there was a loss of life in my high school class. Sorry about that, fellas. And I remember how those brilliant doctors saved us all. As now we await the medical heroes of today, and they are truly heroes because they are risking their lives, who will destroy this latest attack on humanity. I'm sure many of you remember the time of the polio epidemic, which scared the hell out of all of us. This too shall pass.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I remember getting a pin that says a polio pioneer.
Thank you, Phil. Book club, is Dick on with us?
Was before.
I don't see his name.
Yes, he's muted. Dick, unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, but anyhow, for April 22nd for an book, which is clear that it's supposed to feel about our esteemed Congress for the Civil War, and we'll figure out a way to do it online. And I think that'll work fine according to this meeting is working fine. Then we have a man worry about the date until later about the code in the second part, and that's the festive. And if there are any other book titles that people want to select, just send them to me on it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Unfortunately, I couldn't pick up any of what was said. So.
Really?
This is Ira. Neither could I. I can't get anything into the minutes about what you just said, Dick, unless you could repeat it.
Use the slide.
Well, I'm trying to work on mute. Because was crossed out. And chat.
It's very, sometimes you have to lean a little bit forward and get closer to the speaker.
Dick, if you can hear us, can you just synopsize what you said and send an email to Ira? Dick is mute.
Dick. Across and
Yeah, Dick, we can't hear you. It's coming in like a reverb echo, but can you send an email? Just do a thumbs up if you can send an email to Ira so he can get it into the minutes.
Ira, Dick is on mute now.
Okay, good. Dick will send Ira an email. Thank you, Dick. Okay. Howie, do you want to?
Yeah. We're looking at all the dropping of oil prices. I called Mitchell Oil, who's been doing me for 2-3 years, thanks to Alan Krim setting it up years ago. They quoted me $2.14 a gallon for when my contract is over, beginning August 1st. When I mentioned SMAS, they dropped it to $2.04 a gallon. So I'm paying $2.59 now. So that's $550 that'll go in my pocket next year. So I'm just saying to people, you know, when the economy starts coming back, when, you know, things, the price of oil is going to go up. So it might be time for you to look at and think about for those who have oil to contract for next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Howie.
This is Alan. The price of oil, has come down dramatically. The reference price for these fixed price contracts is the number 2 Harbor Oil New York price of oil, and it's down approximately $1. Over the next week, I will survey what the local heating oil companies are offering, and so for the next meeting, I'll as to which of the ones that we've typically surveyed is offering the best available pricing for members to, consider if they want to lock in for next heating season, given that that indeed, if the various companies are offering it available at this point, the way Mitchell is. So it's certainly a good idea to consider locking in right now because of the battle that's going on between Russia and Saudi Arabia in terms of the price offers and sales volumes that have created this break in the contract price for heating oil.
Hi, it's Jerry talking, if I have a moment. I noticed this morning when I was shopping at Great that the station right across the road has gas at $2.29 a gallon. They're not always the lowest price in town, but it looks like that price has dropped considerably.
Okay. Okay, moving on. That slide speaks for itself. Definitely seek immediate medical help. Okay, next slide. An item for discussion before we ask for any jokes. I spoke to Thomas Madden, the city's director of economic development, making a presentation on the using Zoom. And he said he was familiar with it, and yes, he would be very willing to do it. Just let him know, when, and he would be able to do it. So if we were to go back to having some live presentations, we would hold our meeting to the half hour and then go into the 45-minute to an hour live session. Is that something that Everybody wants to commit to an hour and a half. I mean, we had some up to 52 people today online, so at that good a number, that would not be a bad, you know, to give it a try, and having somebody that knows how to work the system would probably certainly be a help. So the question is, and maybe you want to unmute everybody and guys will speak, any objections to it, is to go to the half-hour meeting format like we normally do at the church, and then have a 45 to an hour speaker presenting. May not be every week, but we're going to try and get people to do it.
Joe, this is Stu.
This is Alan. This is Alan. I think that going to a live person in our regular format would be terrific, including the 15 minutes for Q&A by having a live program. It's a very attractive element of these weekly meetings.
Thank you, Alan. Okay, let's just can I just rephrase that? I mean, yeah, we can all extol the virtues of it. I just want to know, is anybody feel that we should not do it?
Joe, I think we should start at 10:45 because this mechanism takes longer to run than a half an hour.
No. Make one suggestion. Would it help for people to get into the chat, raising their hand by their screen, and have someone pick who's talking, so there's not so much overlap?
Yeah, my hand is up. Nobody called on me.
So like this, would that help?
Because you can't see it all.
Okay.
There's a hand raising button that you can push that Steve can see.
I do have a comment on the speaker. All in all, it sounds pretty good, but my own feeling would be if at the top is interesting, a lot of people would drop out.
Oh, yeah.
That might not be good for our speaker.
Wait, you know, this is Steve.
Mute everybody.
Steve, please.
Yeah.
Steve, is there you said there's a way we can vote?
I'm going to mute everybody. Joe?
Yes, Steve.
Okay, you should be unmuted now. Everybody else is.
Okay, is there a way we can vote?
Let me see where it's at. If you go to all participants, on my screen anyhow, if you click on the participants.
Yeah, on the bottom, there's a yes and a no.
The yes and a no.
Yeah. All right, you want to give that instruction to everybody?
People got it. They heard us. They're voting. 5 people say yes. 6. We're up to.
Okay, everybody seems to be doing it.
Yeah. You've got 1 no and 20 yeses out of 45 people.
Okay. Hey, that's great system.
So we've got 24-1. A bunch of
Okay, you want to just want to give that instruction again as to how they would go to participants at the bottom of the screen.
You got
Click
it.
on that.
Go to the participants, click on it, and then there's a button that says yes, no, go slower, go faster. But just click on yes or no. 28, 29. We have 31 people voted and 14 have abstained.
Steve, you actually see a count?
Yes.
Ah, interesting.
30 have said yes.
Yeah.
At this point, I think we have an overwhelming number that say yes.
Okay, so we'll pursue it, and hopefully we can do it next week. If not the week after, but we will definitely, it's a mandate to go ahead and have a live speaker. Now, guys, thank you on that. So now,
This is Larry speaking. And it looks like this is also the best way to have the vote on the thing about the
bylaws.
bylaws.
Actually,
Yeah, no, definitely, it works beautifully.
there is another way that they have that I can set up a poll also that you can vote on.
Huh. I mean, this looks effective at this point, so. Yeah. The only thing I don't see is a tally.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, on mine I see a tally.
Yeah. I just see the votes, and more votes are coming in as we speak. Hey, that's a good. Hey, we tried the system out, and it works. Fantastic. Now, there's also something. There's a chat, and
yeah, well, the chat is text back and forth.
Yeah.
Question, Steve, on the participant vote, excuse me. I see hands raised in the column of yes. Is that him as a yes vote? Or is that somebody trying to raise the talk?
You mean in the more? Yeah, they clapped. One person clapped.
Oh.
Stu found out how to raise your hand. Where was that, Stu? I don't remember.
It's at the bottom of the participant screen.
Okay.
Left box in the
I can't raise.
left bottom.
That's why I'm not a participant.
Right. It's the lower part of the screen. But
Yeah, it's right next to the yes button.
Yeah. Well, what I might suggest is that we hold off 2 weeks before we get a live speaker, and let's try next week muting everybody, and then they can raise their hand, and I can then unmute them, so we don't have people talking over one another.
Perfect idea.
I like that.
Good idea.
Harder for you, Steve, but
yeah, it's harder for me, but I think it'll keep a little bit less noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're learning and we're working. Look, we did a couple of new things. So another question for Steve is, I assume we bought the license now, and we're able to go for as many people for the extended time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, Carl's got his hand raised there.
Yeah, what I can do also, Joe, and I'll have to try it on using another machine that I have here, is make you a co-host, and then you can pick on the people that you want to turn the mic on for.
Oh. Let's see, yeah,
Yeah, I can.
we can give it a try.
I just made you a co-host, so
Okay, yeah, now I see the town.
if you see manage participants, you might see mute all,
Yeah, I can see that.
and then you'll
I
have.
think Howie is trying to speak.
I have a question for Larry.
Yes.
Giovanni's is open for takeouts. So I'm
Okay.
surprised you haven't got any response. Maybe you ought to see about going to their website and finding their contact, and you get one of the owners rather than Bonnie, who might have been paid off.
Either that or tell them they have to deliver to everybody.
Excuse me?
They'll have to deliver to everybody if they don't want to give our money back.
Okay, how are we out?
Okay.
All right, we got, let's have, somebody's got to have a good joke, and we'll end on that. Anybody have a good joke?
I would like to show a picture. I just worked in the bathroom and I for long isolation. Okay, so I show.
Roman, you're coming in broken up. Okay, nobody raised their hand.
Okay. Can you
Roman,
video in screen?
he's
Roman,
gonna
if you,
It's echoing. It's getting,
yeah. Okay, another thing to suggest is before you go online for the meetings, get on a few minutes early. There's a screen that comes up and says to test your audio. Might be a good thing to do. Okay, Lloyd, you got your hand up.
I'm using the same 9-digit.
Can't hear you, Lloyd.
For this bill, gonna have a new number.
You're coming in broken, Lloyd.
Oh. Okay, well, oh yeah, I see that. I don't know what to do about that. The pull up for Zoom. It's a 9-digit number. Will it be the same next week, or will I have to look for a new number?
Can't make out what you're saying.
Yeah, this is Larry. I heard him. He wants to know if we'll be using the same number for the Zoom meeting, or we'll get a new invitation.
you'll get a new invitation, but it'll be the same number. For now, I think I've got it scheduled out sometime, maybe until May, with the same number.
Okay.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay. Since we're having some, difficulties at this point, look, guys, stay well, stay healthy. Please be careful. Don't take any unnecessary chances. Use whatever services are available to get things brought to you, and let's pray for each other and our families and friends that we make it through this. And we'll see you all next week. And don't forget, if you have any questions or want to contact or have anything to say, please don't hesitate to email either Carl, myself, and let's go back up. Who was the other?
Phil,
Oh,
Phil Schechter.
yeah.
Thank you. Right.
Okay. All right. With that, we've been on for a little over an hour. Let's end this session.
Okay, guys.
And remember that before you can always go and check the video of the meeting.
It will be posted. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.